Imagine living in a small, quiet town where everyone knows your name, a place where neighbors wave from their porches and the local diner feels like a second home. But one spring night in 1946, the peace of Texarkana shattered forever. A masked figure emerged from the darkness, leaving terror in their wake. For months, they hunted in the shadows, targeting couples on lovers' lanes. They became known as the Phantom Killer, an unknown menace who seemed to disappear into thin air after every attack. But who was this masked figure, and why did the killings suddenly stop? Texarkana, a small border town straddling Texas and Arkansas, was like many others in the post-World War II era. Soldiers returned home, eager to rebuild their lives, and the town thrived on a sense of optimism. But beneath the surface, fear began to brew. It started on February 22, 1946, when Jimmy Hollis and Mary Jean Larry parked on a secluded road for a quiet evening together. What happened next would change the town forever. It was a little after 11:45 p.m. when the couple's quiet night turned to horror. A man wearing a white cloth mask with holes cut for his eyes emerged from the shadows. He pointed a flashlight at the car and ordered them out. Jimmy Hollis thought it was a prank, but the figure wasn't joking. He pistol-whipped Jimmy, cracking his skull, then sexually assaulted Mary Jean before vanishing into the night. Describe the escalation of crimes. In the weeks that followed, the Phantom Killer struck again and again. Richard Griffin and Polly Ann Moore were found murdered in their car. Paul Martin and Betty Jo Booker, a young musician, were killed just days later. Each attack sent shockwaves through the community. The killer had no clear motive, no pattern, just a chilling consistency of targeting couples in secluded spots. As the death toll rose, fear gripped Texarkana. People locked their doors at night, something almost unheard of before. Curfews were imposed, and the streets were eerily quiet after dark. Law enforcement from both Texas and Arkansas joined forces, hunting for clues. But the Phantom Killer was always one step ahead. Witnesses described a tall, lanky figure dressed in dark clothes and a mask. Police scoured the town, questioning anyone who seemed suspicious. They even consulted a psychologist who suggested the killer might be a loner with deep psychological issues. But no arrests were ever made. And then, just as suddenly as it started, the killings stopped. By May 1946, Texarkana returned to an uneasy calm, but the question remained, why? Was the killer arrested for another crime? Did they leave town? Or were they hiding in plain sight all along? Discuss the lasting impact. For years, Texarkana lived under the shadow of the Phantom Killer. The case inspired the 1976 film, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. But for the real victims and their families, it was no Hollywood story. It was a nightmare that never truly ended. The Phantom Killer case remains one of America's most infamous unsolved mysteries. Today, Texarkana remembers the tragedy with an annual showing of The Town That Dreaded Sundown. But it's more than a movie. It's a reminder of how fear can grip an entire community and how evil often lurks where we least expect it. The Phantom Killer left behind a legacy of fear, heartbreak, and unanswered questions. Who do you think the killer was? And why did they stop? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to Forgotten Crimes for more chilling stories of history's darkest mysteries.